They made me a copy of it. So a living thing has inborn intelligence with this body called innate intelligence. The mission of innate intelligence is to maintain the material of the body of a living thing in active organization. Okay? Because universal intelligence is all matter, continually gives it all its properties and action, form and function, and innate intelligence is an expression of that universal intelligence through living thing, so thusly innate intelligence wants to maintain the body of a living thing in active organization. There's 100% innate intelligence in every living thing, the requisite amount proportional to organization. Well, of course, because universal is always 100%. The expression of universal in living things is innate intelligence, so by default, then innate intelligence is always 100% and proportional to its organization. It's just the right amount all the time. So again, limitless innate, limited matter. The function of innate intelligence to adapt universal forces. Universal forces, is that universal intelligence? No, it's universal forces and matter for use in the body so that all parts of the body will have coordinated action for mutual benefit. Okay? So innate intelligence takes these universal forces, wind, rain, gravity, sunshine. I mean, do I need some sunshine? Yeah, probably every fourth research, I'm going to apologize people on the intern list and everything. If I get a chance to sit down at my desktop and go, hey, I'm backed up with so many research articles right now. I just don't sit down at a desktop very often. Anyhow, probably every fourth article I read is about vitamin D, lack of vitamin D. The #1 risk factor for getting COVID was lack of vitamin D. #1 risk factor for dying from COVID, obesity. If you look at all the research. So vitamin D. So do we need so much vitamin D? Yeah, sunshine's a good thing. I love going out mowing the yard and getting a lot of sun. I enjoy the sun. It makes me feel good. I mean, just see people's attitudes on cloudy days versus a sunny day, even though we're not in it. You know, we need that sun, but can you have too much sun? Oh yeah, that's my scalp valve. Come on now, you can't have too much, but can you have too little? Yeah, of course. Can you have too much water? Oh yeah, can you have too little? Yeah, a lot of people are on the too little side. Yeah. So these universal forces are adapted by innate intelligence for use in the body. So it has to be just the right amount, and it has to be coordinated action for mutual benefit, which means all parts of the body are going to work together. The limits of adaptation. Innate intelligence adapts forces of matter for the body as long as it do so without breaking universal law. Now, I'm not going to try to change pencils, but for this part, I'm going to put a period down. Let's just talk about that part first. Okay? Innate intelligence adapts forces of matter for the body as long as you do so without breaking universal law. So that universal law called gravity, if I think I'm invincible because I'm subluxation free, I can step off the roof of Up and Up. No, you're violating the universal law called gravity. Okay? It's going to have a bad thing. Okay? Okay? And we had a professor that was a Sherman grad that taught philosophy for us. He taught, said, if you are 100% subluxation free, you can drink motor oil, it won't have a negative effect. I told him he was blankety blank crazy. I said, you're violating physical laws. Yeah, but he truly believed if you're subluxation free, you're invincible. That's bullcrap.
Hey, Doc, did you ask him to try it out?
No. Well, something I've learned over the years, never argue with an unarmed opponent.
Sure.
You know, I could have talked to him all day, it wouldn't change his mind there.
Fair enough.
He's an unarmed opponent. Then, second, innate intelligence is limited by limitation of matter. So if I have a patient that had their gallbladder removed, I don't care how good your torque is in that T4, you're not going to help that gallbladder. So you do have limitations of matter. Okay? You know, the function of the appendix is to lubricate the bowel. Right? And even if I get the right torque, am I going to help your appendix measure? No. If I adjust it before it bursts. That's triangular stuff now. So you have to realize that having 100% innate intelligence does not make you invincible. You know, so 100% of adaptability, your body can fight off 100 germs. 101 come along, you're still gonna get sick. Right? So it doesn't make you invincible, it just increases your adaptability. And then that's the bottom line, you know, is the ability to adapt to the environment. Okay? Everybody know what the one cause, one cure is? See, a lot of people that detract our beautiful philosophy say, oh, you monocausal, one cause people. You monocausal people, one cause, civilization, one cure, adjustment. Never has been. Never has been. The one cause is the body's inability to adapt to itself or its environment. The one cure, the body's ability to heal itself. That's the one cause, one cure. But the people who've never picked up a green book, you know, just think that, oh, your stuff is crap. The forces of innate intelligence never injure or destroy the structure in which they work. So, when we take those universal forces and innate intelligence adaptation, I'm getting the benefit of that sunshine with my vitamin D. I'm getting the benefit of drinking the water I just had a sip. Okay? I'm getting the benefit of those forces because innate intelligence is going to take those and take care of them properly on that. Now, if I violate that universal law, step off that roof, yeah, I'm going to have a problem. If I decide I'm going to sit here and chug water all afternoon, yeah, I'm going to have a problem on that. So you have to always default back to, you know, the universal laws. Right? They never injured or destroyed the structure of the. Anybody know John Grimes from Las Vegas? Graduated from Palmer in 1999. He was one of my interns. God bless him. It was one of the best group. No offense. One of the best group of interns I had. Graduated in 1999. Okay. Matter of fact, the best friends in that class. He just called me last night in the middle of a football game. Can't talk above the crowd. Right. He was shocked. And I sent him a picture of the scoreboard, and he knew what I was doing. Yeah. But great class. But John, God bless him, just didn't have that confidence. He was calling me 3 times a week. Doc, I got this paper, this. John, you're doing the right thing. He just needs some hand holding. I don't mind doing that. And feel free to call me if you ever want advice. I'm happy to help out in cases. You know, you just got x-rays from Zach just the other day, that guy with the big old mist thing. Then he sent me another one that he was asking advice on. But I love doing it because, see, that's the fun of chiropractic, being the detective. You know, where's the cause? Where's the cause? I just enjoy that tremendously. Well, John had this person come in and say that, you know, this little boy was supposed to die within the next 3 months. And I had just got back from class, got to my office, and the phone rings. Like I said, I covered one of these principles every single day of class. I had just covered this principle that day. John calls me, I have this, should I take care of you, Doc? I said, John, I said, the force of innate intelligence never injure or destroy the structures anywhere. And I haven't talked to John for about a year now, but that kid's 20-some years old now. Okay, so you owe it to everybody to try. Mind you think about Troy, maybe think, took care of a little girl called Claire. Right? And Claire was 4 years old and never walked without a walker or braces on her legs. And Troy was my Tuesday intern. So he always asked about Tuesday intern, makes you guys are good. He says, you gotta keep up the reputation of Tuesday intern. You know, well, when Troy hit this preceptor, he was precepting up in Clinton, Iowa. Right? And I'm quoting Troy, he says, I'm just a therapy bitch up there. He hated it. But there's this little girl up there called Claire, you know, and this guy was seeing her, but he never adjusted above C6, you know, and was getting therapy done or stuff like that. And so every Tuesday, Troy still came here intern. He says, Doc, I know she has AS Oxford. We gotta get her down here. But he didn't feel right referring out of that office. Troy gets his diploma. As soon as he got his diploma, he went downstairs and called the parents. Says, you gotta get up to Quad City to see Birch. Okay? So she had Desiree Soda's disease and everything. And So they drove down from Clinton. And first thing, have you ever heard Desiree and Sodas? I said, yeah. They just told me, I had no clue what it was, but they asked me if I'd heard of it, and that was the truthful statement, I heard of it. You know, and it's an uninvolved deformity in the brain that's gonna cause something. Anyhow, Claire was supposed to be dead within 3 months. And I told them, I could do everybody else, I said, I'll try my darndest for 6 weeks. If we notice improvement, I'll stick with it. If I don't, I'll shake your hand until I drive my best. Fair enough? Fair enough. Justin Claire on Friday. And Monday, the staff interrupts me. You don't interrupt me if I'm with patients, unless there's a tornado coming. Warning those guys, I'll keep working. I'll keep the windows open so I can see. And they interrupted me. My staff's crying. He said, Claire's mom's on the phone. It's sad how you go to stinking thinking, oh crap, she died. And oh, she didn't have any oxygen, but her wedge on her atlas, yes, we x-ray kids. Okay. Her wedge is like this. When I adjust her atlas, it sounds like I broke a 2-inch dry stick. You know, her mom called. And I got on the phone, she's crying, she says, Claire just walked across the house without her walker. You said it takes 6 weeks. I said, no. I said, we tried for 6 weeks. You know, and that should be in one of their own 33 principles. Okay. Claire's graduating college now. It's 1999, and she does sewing classes online. I'm amazed that you make money doing stuff online. Maybe I should take it so I can learn how to sew. And she trains dogs to do these obstacles and all that stuff. They're just having a good life, right? So we owe it to every single person to try. And then that same year, Palmer at their Lyceum homecoming used to have, they started that year first night, a miracle section, you know. So I participated in that because, I mean, Claire's story made the paper because her dad made snowflakes, you know, and he made custom-made snowflakes. I have my snowflake, I took it off all my Dark Star work, but it has, you know, the Lady of Health in it, has the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, there's 8 different things that represent my life in this snowflake. He made custom-made snowflakes, and that's how he's paying for Claire's medical bills, you know, before she got adjusted on that. So that hit the newspaper, and then they always told Claire's story about chiropractic back then. So the whole Palmer community knew about and all that. So he invited me to his presentation, and so he told the story, and then we had Claire walk out on stage. I went to dry eye house, and after I thought, it's the wrong name, should we call it Expectations? Not Miracle. So I refused to participate after that until you change it to Expectations. Because you should have that expectation. You want everybody to try. You, again, you get tired of, you say this, you with your educated brain can't decide who's going to get better. Okay, so the force of intelligence never injure or destroy the structure of the nerve. And I have some people say, oh, wait a minute, what about autoimmune disease? Well, autoimmune is a subluxation, means the immune system is working correctly. I've had tons of patients with autoimmune, they get adjusted, okay? You know, usually upper cervical. Their immune system works. So to me, autoimmune means subluxated immune, you know, what it is. So no, that's innate, never. Because somebody said, oh, autoimmune, that's an innate response. Bull crap. Okay? Or male cow excrement, I'll put that. Okay, in order to carry out the universal cycle of life, and this is where some people mix up the universal intelligence and universal forces. Universal forces are destructive. Is that universal intelligence? No. Okay? Because somebody says, well, you know, God is good, so God wouldn't be destructive. No, I said, no, that's not God, that's the forces. Okay? I could beat them in the head for that. There's some of my colleagues in the diplomat program that still argue that. I said, those universal forces are destructive, innate forces, constructive, and regard structural matter. Okay? So innate intelligence takes these universal forces and adapts them properly. Okay? Now, the cycle of life, okay? Universal cycle of life. we have a continuum. Your left, death. Your right, 100% life. We're always moving back and forth in this continuum. Okay? So, okay, if I drink good water, I exercise, get plenty of vitamin D, have clear thoughts, I'm moving towards 100% life. If I think drinking water out of the Mississippi River is healthy, okay, I live through drive-up window and I have stinking thinking, I'm moving toward 100%. We're always moving. And unfortunately, we never, always moving back and forth in that continuum. Okay? So we always have these universal forces that can be destructive. If I have bad posture, if I sit at a computer all day, by the end of the day, I'm slumping. Right? Will that universal force called gravity be destructive? Absolutely. Okay? So we're in that battle all day long. Okay? What was it? They were just read an article, what was this morning, read? They're knocking RFK, okay, our new health education secretary, they're knocking him for being an anti-vaccine. No, he just wants them to declare what's in the blankety blank vaccines. He's not anti-vaccine. But he did his interview at Steak and Shake and he's eating fries. So they were knocking him for eating French fries. Hey, do we have that temptation? If you like French fries, yeah. Matter of fact, you can't go to the Steamwater football game and find anything healthy. Right? So I had chicken tenders and fries for supper last night and washed them down with a beer. You know? That new beer, yeah, Yuengling. Had a Yuengling beer. Right? Yeah. Now, was my stomach telling me, Rick, you're not used to fried food last night? Yeah, it did that, but another beer. So yeah, I'm not perfect. I eat pretty healthy most of the time, but you can't get anything good to eat out of that. Well, they call it. It used to be called the Vibrant Center. There we go. So if I eat at the Vibrant Center, that can be destructive. But innate working all the time is trying to help you adapt. You think of that. Okay, I don't understand this one. Innate intelligence is always normal and function is always normal. Well, sure, because universal force through living things called innate intelligence, universal forces are always, or universal intelligence is always perfect. So I don't know why they put that in there, just to re-emphasize the point. So, yeah, of course. Innate intelligence is always normal and function always normal. The forces of innate intelligence operate through or over the nervous system and antibodies. Now, this is one that I'm going to have to argue with a little bit, based on personal experience. My twins were premature. My son was 2 pounds 4 ounces. Kelly was 2 pounds 3 ounces. And Keith was in the hospital 3 months, and Kelly's in the hospital 8 months. So we brought her home under oxygen. So she feeds, she goes silent. So we give her bite food and stick a hose up her nose and all that. Okay. And Kelly goes on with life. Graduates Palmer 2009. We were flying to a seminar down in Vegas. We landed in Denver. All of a sudden, Kelly can't breathe. She can't walk. Well, it turns out that Iowa City, that she spent 8 months in, missed the patent ductus arteriosus, which is a very common defect on preemies, you know, and a very relatively easy surgery to do on preemies. If they've done the surgery at Iowa City, I still have my daughter today. Because of that, she ended up on a heart-lung transplant list. I can tell you more about transplants than you want to know about. We were going up to Mayo Clinic, and so I said, well, you do that transplant, how do you, see, I'm thinking hardwired, nerves, right? I said, how do you sew all those nerves back here? We don't. What? Yeah, they do a heart transplant, they just drop the heart in there. So every cell has an intelligence. So we don't need to be hardwired with nerves to keep things going, because they take that heart out, that thing, it's still working. That's crazy when you think about that heart just be dropped in there, it starts working. But that shows you the cellular intelligence, and that's innate intelligence at its best right there. Every single cell has the innate intelligence, right? You know, otherwise, you know, if it was just operate through over the nervous system in animal bodies, you know, you'd have to sit there and sew them back together. Matter of fact, the first surgeon I met, his wife was an expert in trying to do surgeries to reconnect brachial plexus. And she says, we can't connect those nerves. And she told me that, I'm thinking, oh, this is before my daughter passed, oh crap. Yeah, my daughter never missed one day of school in her entire life. She'd never been sick up until this instant, you know, and she was still adapting pretty well on that. And then Mayo Clinic said she had to have her vaccines. Well, my kids never had their vaccines. And they wanted to do 42 to start with. And I just dumped, I have more research on vaccines, you shake a stick, I just dumped my research on them, got down to 6, you know, and then they wanted to do all 6 in one day. I said, you do one. Well, she had an adverse reaction to the first one. But, you know, she adapted real well, and she's back to being just a happy Kelly and all that. And I gotta apologize to Regan. I got the medical doctors, we were gonna move my wife up there in case we got the call for the transplant. Okay. I went to the medical doctor, I says, don't order drugs until I get back. We're 45 minutes out of Rochester. Kelly calls, says, Dad, they said they're gonna take me off the transplant list unless I get the vaccine. I said, honey, I'll back you 100%. They mistakenly gave her a second MMR and killed her. You know, so, yeah, I kind of love chiropractic and hate medicine. You know, because did Kelly adapt really well for 40 years? She's 40 years old when she passed. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. So anyhow, that's why I might argue about through over the nervous system. Each cell has intelligence. There can be interference with transmission in forces. What do you think? Can there be interference? Yeah. Otherwise I wouldn't have a job. Interference with transmission of innate forces causes incoordination or dyshyphonesis, and that hyphen's there for a purpose. So if the body's at ease, it's functioning 100%. So dyshyphonesis, less than 100%. So we want the body to function at ease. Okay? So there can be interference with innate forces, which we call a mental impulse. Okay? Okay? Or if you study it deeper, it's a forum, which BJ wrote for force unit, forum, F-O-R-U-M. Okay? That's a mental force unit. Okay? There can be interference, transmission, innate forces that cause incoordination or dyshyphonesis. Now, does that say disease?
No.
No, dyshyphonesis. Okay? So if we have 100% expression of force, we're perfect. We have less than 100% expression that's incoordination or dyshyphonesis, and then over time it can become disease. So it's very important to understand lack of ease. So principle 30 is the cause of dyshyphonesis, lack of ease. 31, okay? Interference with transmission, and this is where you have to put all these together. Interference with transmission of mental impulses. Everybody got me? That's why you have to read it. Interference transmission of mental impulses in the body is always directly or indirectly due to subluxation.